Alright, here's my faithful old girl. I don't even know what year this is. It's like a 90s Ford New Holland 445D skip loader tractor. Um, it's been a good workhorse. It just needs some love. So I figured I'd do a quick walk around. You can see it has the original yellow under it. It's been painted this kind of lime green. I fixed a few things, but I'm about to give it some love here. It's probably gonna take me a while, but the minimal, I'm gonna clean this all up and paint it and do all the maintenance. So get a good look. Definitely not going to be like a full restoration, because this is not really worth putting that much money into to me. But it looks ridiculous and it works well, so I want it to look decent and work well. But right now it's a little bit embarrassing. Let's see how we do. All right, I got probably like 4 hours of straight pressure washing on this. It sounds crazy, but pressure washed it, sprayed degreaser, pressure washed it, pressure washed the top, pressure washed the bottom, pulled the cover off, pressure washed it. This has got, and the wheels were some of the hardest. Pressure wash and move it, and roll it, and pressure wash. So, and I spent a little time straightening the fender. But this is going to be, man, this thing's going to be a lot of paint. It's going to be a lot of time, but you can see the original color under there. So I'm going to mix up and match this color the best I can. Scraping the decal, scraping the paint, getting the chips off. I'll probably do some more prep, but I'm done with pressure washing. So I'll do a little bit more paint prep and then a lot of masking and a lot of painting. This thing's just a huge, half this stuff, it was so dirty, half this little features and stuff I couldn't really even see. I have no idea what this even does. But I'm thinking about getting a manual for it. I'm either going to do one of two things. If I get this thing all cleaned up and I feel like, it turns out where I'm happy with it and it doesn't seem like I'll get a lot of money out of it, I'll keep it. But if I do it and it seems like, I'm going to get a bunch of money out of it, I cut this loose and try to get a smaller tractor. This thing's a beast. I mean, these wheels are 4 feet tall. The whole machine is, 8. It's long, it's huge. It's way overkill for what I'm going to do in there. But we'll see. Either way, it's been a long time coming. Probably, 20 years since this thing's got really much attention. So let's get in now. Tons of prep work. Lots of work. So I'll pull the wheels because, I really do want to get a pretty good job on the hubs. And also, these are yellow. I think I'm just going to make the wheels black. I started masking them, but there's no way to paint the wheels without pulling them off, without getting a ton of overspray. So I'm going to go black. They had to come off. So I got them off. It's on jack stands. I got a lot of stuff masked off. Reminds me I got to mask off the alternator. I'm not going to mask the engine. I'm going to spray the engine. The engine's been sprayed and it looks terrible. So I'm going to do that. But the alternator's new, so I'd like to mask that. Did that a couple years ago now. But I'm not going to try to keep all 4 wheels off the ground. I'm going to really work on the front and then shoot the wheels black, change over to yellow, get the front half or so yellow, and then I'll put the front wheels back on, and then I'll come back here and I'll probably pull 1 wheel at a time off the back. Paint. I mean, there's no real way to get even a remotely decent job in this fender without spraying all over the tire. So they really got to come off. And I'm going to do black inside of here and then yellow on the outside. I'm going to black the whole front where there should be a grill. Mufflers masked, steering wheel, gauge cluster, some switches, the knobs. Looks like I got to do a little touch-up masking there. The lights from the factory, actually, these are black. So I may try to shoot those black. I'm kind of deciding. I may just do it all yellow. See how it goes. See how the spray and stuff works. And then all these rippers are black, but I think it's all going to be yellow here pretty soon. Unless I did this whole box blade black, which I could. But then it'd be kind of hard to break off. Does the yellow, the arm's yellow and the blade black or are they both black? And if they're both black, then I got to mask off the rear axle. So I may just yellow the whole thing. I just realized too I'm doing a good job of taping up all the rams, the exposed cylinders. So I got a couple more to go. And then like you can see, I've got these taped, used actually masking the sight. The clear glass filters are taped, but not the regular spin-ons because I'm going to end up doing a full service on this. So no reason to take the time to mask up the filters I'm taking off pretty soon. So a lot of stuff. It's a lot of work though. So spent most of the day painting. It takes a long time though. Pulled that wheel. Well, pulled both fronts, got it on jack stands and all that. So this is as far as I got. Actually, I was having trouble with my spray gun too. The Rust-Oleum, I had the black Rust-Oleum, kind of had some chunks in it. Kept clogging the gun up, but I went with the straight safety yellow. And my plan is to put a little bit more black in the, black bucket, black front, black roof. I'm going to do the Gannon box black, the black wheels. And then I couldn't get 445D stickers, so instead I'm going to get TONKA stickers. So this is going to be my big new TONKA toy. One more day. I'll finish painting this tomorrow. And I'm going to go and I'm actually going to buy a new gallon of Rust-Oleum because this one it drove me nuts. And rather than mask everything, I think I'll actually just brush yellow in here carefully. So I'm getting a nice new brush because it's just so much work to mask and mask and mask. But it's a good old girl. It's going to be pretty sweet, I think. And previously I bought green because I was thinking about doing it John Deere green and yellow. And then I thought about doing it red and black. You know what? I'm going to return both of these and get the one black one, gloss black. I would never do anything other than gloss. Flat black is trash. Alright, note to self. Don't ever try to pull these wheels off again. These things are so heavy. It's ridiculous. So, it's like a 48-inch tire. But, man, it's just so much heavier than I thought. I can barely even roll this. It's rough. But there was no good way to really paint back there without the wheels off. So they're off. But in the process of getting one off, kind of got away from me and laid down. I can't pick it back up. I literally cannot pick that back up. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do. I got one neighbor who's got a skid steer. Maybe we put I don't know if he has a forklift attachment, but if he does, it might be worth getting the forklift attachment to flip it back up. This thing is, it's hundreds of pounds. I mean, it's got to be 3, maybe more. They're really heavy. So I think I might just bring the side-by-side out, hook a chain to it, and drag it away a little bit so I can at least paint the yellow in here without tripping over it or overspraying it. But it's a beast. It is coming along, but it's heavy. Alright, there's another full day invested in this baby. But it's painted. And the wheels are back on. The wheels, gosh, I still can't get over how heavy those are. I could probably use a little bit of touch-up, but overall, it turned out good for, a couple $100 for this and material for this whole thing. So next big things, I want to do the maintenance. I ordered a whole filter kit, $150. I'm gonna get a bunch of fluids, hydraulic fluid, oil. We go through and do the maintenance this hasn't got like maybe in at least 10 years. And then I got a seat, about $200. I want to go through and clean up the gauges. I'm probably going to really try to clean up inside of this switch because it seems to me once in a while I'll change gears and it won't move, and I'll wiggle this switch and it'll work. So that sends voltage to these solenoids or through this harness into the case, into the solenoids. So I want to do stuff like that. Just mainly basic maintenance. I'm leaning towards getting a battery. This one's okay, but it's not great. But I'm gonna, go through and hook the whole thing up. And I got TONKA decals coming, because this is the TONKA baby now. It looks like some kind of TONKA toy. All right, to be continued. Maintenance time. So I'm just going at these filters in the order I find convenient. So there's the new inner filter. There's the old outer filter. Here's the new outer filter. There's the old inner filter. Pretty dirty. I actually had a warning light on. I can turn it on. I didn't know what the warning light was until I got a copy of the service manual. But that orange light is air filter restriction warning light. So I'm going to do tons of maintenance. I've got the, let's make sure I'm off. Got the new seat here. I got a new seal for that brake cylinder. New seal going down there. So you can see a little puddle leaking under there. But it's been in here for a couple weeks and it really doesn't leak substantially, so that's good. Paint's done. I'm going to set the tire pressures, do every filter on the machine. I'm probably going to replace the battery while I'm here. Go through and just clean and lube anything that I can to get up to speed, check all the fluid levels. It's going to be a big maintenance. All right, this thing's a mess, but I'm definitely getting some progress. So I had a problem occasionally where it would act like it was out of fuel, and I would blow back through the one fuel line and it would run. But if I ever ran it low, it would do it again. So I pulled this fuel petcock off the bottom of the tank. It's buried way back in there. It's hard to even touch, let alone get out. You can see the little hole in this is the fuel tank here. So I got that off, got it all cleaned up, found there was a little bit of rust in there. It wasn't really that dirty, just a little flake of rust. That rust was preventing me from being able to actually turn this off. So I had to fully drain the fuel tank, mainly because I was going for this fuel filter. So I cleaned out the glass separator and the fuel water separator or fuel filter, whatever. And then I've got this fuel pump apart right now. Because one of the shafts coming up through were leaking. The shaft that was leaking is actually right here. So while I was in there, I put O-rings in this, put O-rings on that. I got a big assortment. I got the lids off. I took the muffler off. That fuel pump, the CAV pump cover, I figured, I wanted to make it look good. I don't have a lot of paint, but I had some red. So I shot it red. It's just drying right here. In fact, it's probably dry. So I'm going to bring it back in. I'm going to clean up those bores. And with those new O-rings, it shouldn't leak fuel anymore. And then I also did the muffler high heat black just with the little bit of paint I had left. So yeah, it's a big old girl and it needs a lot of love. So I'm hooking it up. But yeah, take a little look at that. It wasn't that tough getting all these shafts and levers and stuff undone. I took a picture before so I make sure I don't confuse it in case I don't get it back together right away. But I plan to slam it out. And then in a little bit I'll get this fuel petcock back on, hang the fuel line, get all this installed, get it all set, hook up the fuel line, and then I'll start purging it of air. So I'll fill the tank and then there's a couple different spots to bleed air. There's some at the top of the filter here, and then also at the pump right there where my pinky is. So got a lot of stuff to do. Next part, seat's on. Old seat. Trying to get this rear axle sealed up. So check that seal out right there. That's puking fluid. That's because I got it pulled out. So right here, I'm going to pry it out a little more. This is the brake shaft seal. So to do that, there's the new one. To do that, what I had to do was disassemble the linkage in order right there. There's a nut inside, turnbuckle type thing, lock nut, sleeve, washer, shim, big washer. And now that shaft is stripped enough. Slide the seal out. So before I lose too much fluid, I'm gonna slide under there I just you know, popped the hammer on the back side of it, pried the seal loose, and I'm gonna slide the seal out, slide this new seal in. I'm just gonna tap it in a circle to seat it. But I do want to do that, so let me get on it. So this was a pretty cool find. This whole battery tray goes into this like service position. It hinges on this pin, and then there's a wing nut right here. You undo the wing nut part way and fold it down. Then you can swing the whole battery tray out and access that valve cover easily to do the valve clearance inspection, or right, what I'm actually doing right now, I'm going to crack those lines loose on the 3 injectors right here, 1, 2, and 3, and then crank it over to get the bleed the air out, purge the air from the fuel system, because I've got all the whole fuel system hooked up now. The new filter, cleaned everything out, cleaned the separator, reworked that pump with the O-rings, and just got it all back on and torqued. So I'm ready to bleed the air and do a quick fire up, and then I got tons of other stuff to do, but I'm gonna show you. Then when I'm done, I'm just gonna swing this back in and hook up the positive negative cables. All right, as you can see, I just got into that power steering pump. Here's the reservoir, cleaning it out. And then this filter is going to go in. Here's the old filter. So man, this thing's getting a big old maintenance. Done so many things. I finally got that fuel pump buttoned up. I finally got this brake push rod seal buttoned up. I just now filled the rear axle. I'll probably run through all the filters that I've done at the end, but a lot of stuff. I got a lot more time in this. But I did get that on. That was kind of a pain in the butt to do the reseal on. And I had to crack these fuel lines off, crack them to bleed them. In order to do that, I found actually a pretty cool thing. This battery tray has the service position, so now I'm in the service position right now. And I was able to loosen the 3 injector lines and the return lines and get all the air bled out, so now it fires up good. But I'm going to come in here and pressure wash that valve cover. I don't think I'm going to do the valve lash right now, but this is... I may change my mind because I'm right there. If I get this thing clean and I feel like popping that valve cover off, I'll set the valve lash. So, still digging. A lot of fluid. I'm 10 gallons of hydraulic fluid into the fluid maintenance, so all the fluids will be changed too. So, I'm gonna jump back on that power steering pump deal. I felt like it took forever, but I got it all good. Just set the tire pressures. I'm going to run 30 in the front, 20 in the rear. There's quite a bit of spec options in the service manual for that, and it really all depends on what kind of weight you want to be able to move, but that's what I picked. I've got just tons of stuff. So the hydraulic oil for the loader is here. To access this, you flip up the hood, pull a little slider. There's a big filter that you can unbolt. It's more of a screen. You can clean the screen. And then there's the dipstick with the fluid level. All that fluid's new. You can see I got the oil filter done. I pulled off the reservoir for the power steering. All that was holding that on actually was the bolt that holds that line in. So unbolted the line, pulled the whole housing. The filter you can actually see from here. That little shiny thing is the filter. I got the exhaust muffler stack put in a little better. Got a nice exhaust clamp there holding it down. Got the hood back on. Cleaned up some of the wire stuff. I'm going to tell you that stinking seal right there for the brake push rod was a big pain in the butt. It really was to drive it in. It was easy to pull out. It wasn't that hard to get apart. Then I went ahead and filled up the rear axle, did the brake adjustment. I had to free up this parking brake because I couldn't get that linkage back together. It really would need some parking brake cables, but I'm not gonna replace them. When I'm ready to stop it, I just drop the box scraper and I drop the loader and the thing doesn't move anywhere. Those are my parking brakes. This is the transmission filter. That was pretty easy. Spin on. This is essentially the transmission oil. It's just a dipstick. It holds a lot. And then for the rear axle fluid, this is the dipstick. It holds a lot. So quite a few fluids. I went ahead and I'm running the hydraulic oil. You could actually run I think it was SAE 30 or something. It's in the service manual, but it seems like the hydraulic oil made more sense, so that's what I did. Everything is topped up. All this stuff is, I have lubed it before, you know, but it's all lubed and clean and working good. You can see like this thing was seized originally, but now you can see it's moving perfect. Seats on. I didn't actually bolt the seatbelt up. I find the seatbelt's more trouble than it's worth, but I do have the seatbelt. Like I said, when I adjusted the brakes, I brought this way up, and I did test it. It stops much better. You can see I can adjust the rear hydraulics rate right there. I actually have to run back over the controls. I forget some of the things, but I've actually never tried the PTO on this, so I'm going to try to give the PTO a shot. But also went ahead, cleaned, replaced the fuel water separator, redid that pump. Now it's not leaking. It's this is by far the best condition this thing's been in a long time. New oil filter you saw over there. You know what? I'm missing one filter on the other side that I did as well. So the filter kit was $150. I got the coolant topped off while I was in there. So this one is the rear axle PTO hydraulics filter under there, buried in there somewhere. So just a lot of, you know, honestly, this thing's kind of a pain to work on because everything is so big and heavy, but it's been long overdue, like way long overdue. So looking pretty good. In a second, I got my dogs over here, so I'm not going to start up with them. I'm going to run them back to the house, get them where they're pretty comfy, and then I'm going to come out and fire the old girl up, back it out, and run it through a few more tests. All right, it's time. I just got it backed out here. I'm going to fire it up, let it warm up for a second, run it through some of the checks. So I got it in neutral. I've got the transfer-cation in low range. I got this, I believe that's about third up in the top corner. Fire it right up. No problem. And I did verify the PTO. I never actually really knew how to actuate that until I got the manual. It's the like maintenance and operations manual. Check it out. Although that's a cover, I can engage it and hear it spin. Right here. You can hear it rotating inside the cover. And then at least I can hear it stopped. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna lift that box blade. Shouldn't move. As you can see, comes right up. Then these are the articulating mechanisms, so like, check that out. That's going left to right, you know, tilt. This one is curling it. And then this one does the ripper teeth. So all that stuff's working good. And the loader works good. This is up. I'm gonna drop the box blade. Is up. Once it gets up to about here, it starts to do an auto tilt. That's what this whole mechanism is. So that way if you had a big old bucket full of gravel and you lifted it up, you couldn't dump it on yourself. It starts to automatically level it. So it just started doing the auto level right there. And I stopped it, and then here's lower, or you know, dump. More like scoop. And I'll bring it down. So let's go for a little drive. Pick the box blade up. gonna go with the low about, I want to say that's third or maybe second, and then we'll pop this in reverse. Power steering feels good. Power steering feels better than it did before I changed the filter. Brakes feel way better. Forward. Yeah, brakes are solid. Power steering's good. Sure. Check it out a little bit. That's the first drive. I don't see any new fluids. Looking good. Yeah, and I went ahead and I did the hub oil in the front. That's another thing I forgot. That I did. So I'm gonna say I think I'm about done with this big old girl. But she's a sweetie.